welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm going to be bringing you my priority series to finish in 2024. So I like to read a lot of series. I have a reading spreadsheet that I try and keep track of everything, but I end up starting new series and then never continuing, and a lot of these books I have actually started a long time ago, and I'm really wanting to focus on finishing those series. So the first couple of books that I want to talk about I don't physically own, but they are books that I'm really prioritizing because I generally read them on audio or ebook, and I just really need to get to them. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Prison Healer. So I read book 1 on ebook, but I have book 2 and book 3 on my physical shelf just right here, and I do really want to get to them. So we're following a young girl named Kiva, and she is the prison healer. So she has been living in this prison since she's been a child. She got taken in there for something that she never committed, but she's been in this prison, and it's a death prison, and she is just trying to survive. So she is a prison healer, and she's a prison healer, and she is trying to keep herself safe by being the prison healer, and then also kind of keeping a few people that she is really fond of safe. So she gets this note that says that she must keep this person that's going to be coming into the prison alive, and that is her mission. So this person is really important to the rebellion, and she has to do her part in the rebellion to keep this person safe. And it's just really interesting. I gave The Prison Healer 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to continuing the series with the next 2 books that are right behind me. So the next book that I want to read is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. I have read book 1 and book 2, so I need to continue with Escaping from Houdini and Capturing the Devil. This is a story following Audrey Rose, and she is a 17-year-old girl living in the Victorian era of London, and we are following in the first book the murders of Jack the Ripper. And against Audrey's father's wishes, she wants to study forensic medicine, and she is working with her uncle, investigating the bodies of the women that Jack the Ripper has killed, and she is on the journey of trying to find out who Jack the Ripper is. I really enjoyed it. I liked book 1. That was more like Dracula sort of inspired, which I really enjoyed. And then we're going to be following with book 3, which is Escaping from Houdini, so there's going to be like magic and magicians involved. And then the 4th one, I'm not really sure, but I normally listen to these on audio, so I'll be definitely picking those up on audio throughout the year. And the last one that I want to talk about that I don't own physically is the Stillhouse Lake series. I am on book 5 or 6 at the moment, so I'm on maybe the last one or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm really excited to get into it. So in Stillhouse Lake, we're following a woman. She is on the run from her ex-husband, because at the beginning of the story we find out that her husband is a serial killer, and things start to go wrong in her life and her 2 children's lives, and she is trying to keep them safe, and because her husband is sending people after her. So they move to this small town and they are trying to rebuild their lives, and it's just really good. It's full of intrigue and mystery, and there's a lot of gruesome things to it, but I really enjoyed the series. It was a recommendation from Literary Diversions, and she recommended book 1 and didn't like the rest of the series as it went through, but I've been really enjoying it, and I do want to finish off the series. I think I've got 1 or 2 left. I'm not 100% sure, maybe 1. That would be really good to get off my list. So the next book that I want to talk about is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a series that I read. I've only read book 1 in this series, so I've got 2 more to read, but I really want to finish this out and see what all the hype is about, because everyone loves this series. So we're following Cardan and Jude, I think. So Jude witnesses her parents being murdered, and they get pulled into the fairy world where they are being raised by the Fae. And Jude has an enemy in Cardan, and he is the Cruel Prince, and it's kind of their enemies to lovers story. I'm not really sure. I can't 100% remember because it was quite a few years ago. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it enough to continue, but I do want to read this and carry on with the series. But basically Jude is trying to become a person of importance within the Fae world, and kind of trying to show everyone her worth, that just because she's a human doesn't mean she can't survive and live in the Fae world, which yeah. So I've heard that The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing, it gets way better with the relationship and things like that, but I'm looking forward, so I think I might have to reread that one and then carry on with the series, but I'm looking forward to doing that. The next book that I want to talk about is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I currently just started this series in January, so this month. I read it while we were camping, and this is only a duology, so I want to straight away almost like read Crooked Kingdom in the next couple of weeks. But Six of Crows, we were following Kaz Brekker and his group of people that he has brought together to create to capture a scientist who has created a drug that is enhancing Grisha power, and they've been hired to find this person. So we're following 6 different points of view as we go through this story, and it's really good. It's a lot darker than the Shadow and Bone series. It has a more grittier feel to it, and I really enjoyed it, and I do just want to go straight into Crooked Kingdom and get this duology ticked off straight away, because I don't want to be starting more series and not finishing them in like years to come. So it's only 2 books. Really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars, I think, and I had a great time with it. Kaz Brekker is a really great character. I really liked Inej, Jesper, and all the other people that we meet throughout the story. I also like the little nods it gives to the Shadow and Bone series, which I thought was really cool, and I had a fun time, as you can see with my annotations. The next book that I want to talk about is, and a series that I do want to try and finish, is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. So we've got Scythe, Thunderhead, and The Toll, and then we also have a short story collection that I'm not really going to be counting towards the actual series. I just want to focus on the original series and not worry about anything like prequels or anything like that. So this is a world where, so again, I've read book 1, never carried on. I've heard book 2 is way better, and it gets just so much better as we go on. I really love this one. I think I gave it 5 stars when I read it many years ago, maybe in 2019, 2020. But this is a story of a world that has conquered death. So no one dies of natural causes anymore. No one dies of cancer or anything like that. But to curb population and keep the population under control, so you know, everyone can be fed, everyone can have enough things in life, and there is these sites that are hired, and they kind of curve the population, so they have to do a certain amount of killings within a year to kind of make sure there's enough people in the world and there's enough things for everyone in the world. And we're following Citra and Rowan, and they are being apprentices to the Scythe, and we're following their story as they learn how to be a Scythe and kind of figure out what the hell is actually going on in the world, and kind of the deeper side of things with understanding the Scythe, understanding the privilege and the serious matter of importance, the importance of this thing that they're giving, and kind of taking responsibility for these deaths and curbing population. And I really enjoyed it. It was a great time, and I'm looking forward to continuing the series. I have Thunderhead on my 24 to read in 2024. If you want to see that video, I'll link it up above. But I had such a good time with this, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this. It's going to be another one where I'm going to have to reread book 1, but it was a quick read when I read it the first time, so I'm excited to get back to the next one. Then we have a series that I've been putting off for a long time. So the next one is ACOTAR by Sarah J Maas, or A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I read book 1, book 2, and book 3 multiple times. As you can see, I've like tabbed it. This is like 3 different times of tabbing. I've been rereading this series since like I first started reading it. I absolutely adore this series. If you don't know what this series is about, this is about a young girl named Freya. Feyre. A young girl named Feyre. She is the sole breadwinner of her family, and one day while she's out hunting, she kills a wolf who turns out to be a fae, and the repayment of the debt that she has done to this fairy, she has to go to the Fae world and live in the Fae world as a repayment. And so much more happens within this series. Book 1 I do still love, but I prefer book 2 and 3 in this series. But I do want to continue with the Court of Frost and Starlight and A Court of Silver Flames. Both of those are on my 2024 for TBR, and I just need to finish it and see what the hype is about Silver Flames. I've heard that Silver Flames is a lot smuttier than these ones, but I had such a fun time with these and I just need to get it off my currently reading series list. But yeah, as you can see, like the amount of tabs is insane. So I think I might reread these audibly because I've read them physically multiple times and I don't think I have time to actually finish them and read them physically, but we shall see. The next one that I want to talk about is one that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about on YouTube, but that's okay. It is Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Graudin. This is a historical, what are they called? Reimagining? This is a historical fantasy sort of story where we're following the question of what if the Nazis won World War II, and we're following the story. So there is shapeshifters within the story, and we're following a young girl named Yael, and she is on a mission to kill Hitler. So she is put into this competition where these people are on motorbikes and they race across Europe and the winner gets close to Hitler. So she is on this mission to kill Hitler, and it's a really good story. I had a fun time reading it. It took me a little while to read just because it is historical and I'm not a big historical reader, but it was such a great time and I really want to read book 2 because it is again a duology, but I am going to have to read book 1 first again before I read book 2 because there is so much in here that I really enjoyed. And yeah, it's such a good story, and I would definitely recommend if you haven't heard of this before and you're a fan of historical fiction with a kind of alternate history side of things, which I thought was really cool. Then we have a middle grade series that I've read book 1 and book 2 from. Book 3 is out now, and then I think book 4 is going to be out in this year. It's been on a bit of a hold, but this is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. So this is following a young girl named Morgan Crow, and she is a cursed child, which means on the eve of her 11th birthday or 12th birthday, she is destined to die. So she gets blamed in the city that she lives in. She gets blamed for everything because she's a cursed child. If someone falls off a ladder as she's walking by and breaks her leg, it's her fault. If someone slips and knocks their head, it's her fault. So she gets blamed on everything. But then a man named Jupiter North turns up and whisks her away to the magical world of Nevermore to take part in the Wondrous Society, become part of the Wondrous Society, and it is such a great middle grade series. I've been kind of slowly collecting them secondhand, and I'm really excited. I've read book 1 and book 2. I just need to read book 3 and then wait for book 4 to come out, but this is such a great series. It's perfect for any age. I know it's generally a middle grade story, but it reminds me of kind of Harry Potter, and how no matter what age you are, you can fall into the story and really love it. It's so magical, so fun, and I love all the characters within this story, and it's just a really great story that I really want to carry on. Then we have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I read this towards the end of 2023, and I do want to read the next 2, Authority and Acceptance. This is a weird sci-fi novel where it's now a movie, but basically, and it's very short, so, and all book 2 and book 3 are quite short too, so it's going to be pretty easy for me to read. But we're following a group of people who are being put into a place called Area X, and this Area X is this weird zone where a lot of mysterious things are happening, and a bunch of expeditions have gone in before, and they've either never come out or they've come back and they can't speak about what's happened, and they've ended up with a lot of issues. So we're following the next expedition going into this zone, into Area X, and kind of following them as they're trying to figure out what the hell is actually going on. It is weird, like you actually have no idea what's happening. And it's strange. I really enjoyed it though, and I do think that I'm going to want to have to binge this series if I want to finish it. So like reread this one and then go straight into the next 2 and just get it over and done with, because it is so strange and there's so many little things that I've probably missed within my first read that I definitely need to go back and read it again. Then we have of Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. I read this one quite a few years ago. I've read book 1, as you can see on my tabbing. I really enjoyed it, and then I got intimidated because the series is so big, but I do want to read it. I've never watched the TV series, and I do want to watch the TV series, but I want to read this first. And this is a epic fantasy where we're following the Game of Thrones, so we're following all of the different parts of this world. Westeros, I think it's called. And we're just following these people who are trying to get on top of the Iron Throne. So we're following people from the north, we're following people from the Kingdom of the Dark Forces, and there's so much that happens in this, and I'm so annoyed at myself because I'm definitely going to have to reread this, and it is huge. I think this is like one of the longest books I've ever read. Maybe not, but yeah, so I'll just read the back and it will give you a vague, maybe a vague idea of what this is about. Kings and queens, knights and renegades, liars, lords and honest men, all will play the Game of Thrones. Summers span decades, winters can last a lifetime, and the struggle for the Iron Throne has begun. It will stretch from the south, where heat breeds plot, lusts and intrigues, to the vast frozen north, where a 700-foot wall of ice protects the kingdom from the dark forces that lie beyond. The Game of Thrones. You win or you die. It's an epic fantasy. Murder, death, war, kings and queens, betrayal, all that kind of thing. I don't know how else to explain it. If you don't know what this is about, where have you been? Because this is like one of the most modern things that everyone should know, because the TV series was so big. But it is a series that I do want to try and carry on with and try and catch up with before the next book comes out, if he ever brings that one out. The next one that I want to catch up with, because this series isn't complete, but it is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. So recently we just had book 6 release, Lightbringer. I have read the first trilogy in this series, so we've got 2 different trilogies within this series, so which makes up 6 books in total. I think there's going to be another 1 or 2, I'm not 100% sure, but if you're a regular watcher of YouTube and BookTube, you know how big this series is on BookTube. Everyone and their mother loves this story. So I don't think I need to talk too much about this series, but we're following Darrow, and he is a red, so he is the bottom rung of the caste system within this society, and the reds are terraforming Mars so that the people of Earth can come and live on Mars. But something happens where Darrow finds out that Mars and the whole solar system pretty much has already been terraformed, and they are just working as slaves, and he decides that enough's enough. He's going to become a gold, and he is going to kill them all from the inside. So he is on a mission to become gold and to get destroy the gold and get the reds to freedom. And we're following Darrow, and we're just watching him learn to be a gold and changing into being a gold. And it's such a full of like political intrigue and violence and gore, and there's a lot of trigger warnings for this, so do beware before you go in. Things like SA, cannibalism, lots of murder, lots of betrayal. There's so much happening in this story, and I really love it. I know it's been comped a lot to like the Hunger Games in space, and I definitely would say that with this one, because he ends up, while he's training to be gold and kind of moving up the ranks, he has to do sort of a competition that's very like the Hunger Games, and it's definitely a series that you need to check out. It's amazing. I've forced my partner to read it. He's read book 1 and book 2, and I need him to carry on too, but it's a great series that if you haven't read, I really recommend that you do read. Again, it's tabbed the hell out of, and I think I've read this twice now. I'm going to reread it and move my way through the series because it is that good. The next series that I want to talk about is City of Bones, or I don't even know what it's called, The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. Now, I started reading this as a teenager, and when I was a teenager book 6 hadn't come out yet, and then I fell out of love with reading due to my depression and anxiety, and I just kind of fell off reading. And since I got back into reading, I've heard so many things about this series and the ending of the series and kind of leading the rest of the novels within the series that I do want to read, but I want to finish the series. So I've read book 1 to book 5 multiple times as a child, like teenager, and I do want to reread book 1 to 5 and then finish with novel 6. So if you don't know what this is about a young girl named Clary. She is seeing things. She ends up in a situation where she starts seeing vampires and weird things that are happening, and she doesn't understand what's happening to her. And she meets this guy named Jace, and she gets in like thrown into the world of shadow hunters, and she learns a lot about herself and her family, and she has to save the world from something very evil that's coming about, and it is really, really good. And yeah, I've heard great things about the like next couple of series within the Shadowhunter world, so I do want to carry on with that series. And the last 2 books that I want to talk about today is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is again another very popular book on BookTube. This is about a girl named Kuru. She lives half in Prague as an art student and half her time as a assistant to a demon named Brimstone, where she collects things for him. So things like teeth and bones, and things start happening that a lot of the doors that she goes through to move from different place to different place start closing, and she's starting to worry about what's happening. And then her Brimstone and her 2 people who've helped raise her disappear, so she is on a mission trying to find out where they've gone and what's happened. It's a really good series. I read book 1 and book 2, never finished with book 3. Can you tell I have issues finishing series, but it's a really good series. It's beautifully written, very lyrical, and I love Laini Taylor's writing, so I really want to get back to this series. Then we have the Things We Never Got Over series. I don't know what it's called, but The Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I read book 1 last year. It was one of my favorite books of the year. I fell in love with this series, and I never thought I would because it was so hyped. I thought I wouldn't like it, and I generally don't read a lot of just contemporary romance. I fell in love with this story, and I really, really want to continue. But this is following Naomi and Knox. Naomi is has gone into town to try and help her sister, who is her twin, and everyone in the town hates her sister. And she comes across Knox, and he is really rude to her, and she doesn't realize why until she figures out that he hates her sister. And Naomi's sister turns out to be a not great person, steals her car, and leaves her with her 11-year-old niece that she didn't even know existed. So she is stuck in this town with no job, no money, no car, and Knox begrudgingly decides that to help her out, because the child that she's been left with doesn't deserve what the mother has done to her, and thus involves these 2 unlikely people meeting and falling in love, and it is amazing. And I love it, and I want to carry on with the series. So in the next one, we're not following Naomi and Knox, but we're following his brother and his love interest. And then in the third one, I think we're following Knox's best friend. But yeah, I do want to finish this series and just see more of this world and these people, because it's so, so good. And that is my 15 priority series that I want to finish in 2024. Wish me luck, because the Game of Thrones is huge, and this is gonna take me a long time, but I am planning to do like a couple of series wipeout vlogs where I just read a whole series in a vlog, and I'm really, really excited about that one. And yeah, what series are you focusing on finishing in 2024? Because I know we all have the same issue of starting series and never finishing them. So let me know in the comments below what series you want to finish in 2024. If you finished any of these series too and really, really enjoyed them, let me know, and let me know which one I should prioritize first and get it ticked off on my series tracker. Make sure you give this video a like, and subscribe down below if you want to see more content from me. Bye.